All indicators point to a major win for Donald Trump. Not only does he appear to have secured the Electoral College, a crucial factor in the American presidential system, but he's also in a very strong position to take the national popular vote. This is an outcome that hasn't been achieved by a Republican candidate since George W. Bush in 2004. Winning both the Electoral College and the popular vote would be a massive political victory, demonstrating how significantly the political landscape has shifted since Trump's first run in 2016. Kamala Harris, who took over as the Democratic nominee after Joe Biden's decision not to seek re-election, still holds a slight lead of 0.9 in the national polls. But that lead is incredibly slim and quickly slipping away. In fact, 4 of the last 5 national polls now show Trump pulling ahead as we head into the final stretch of the election. It's almost certain that Harris will lose that small lead, especially with Trump's momentum continuing to build. One of the key regions contributing to Trump's rise is the Sun Belt, a collection of southern states that have played an increasingly pivotal role in modern presidential election. We can start by looking at Texas, traditionally a Republican stronghold, but one that saw closer margins in recent years. In 2020, Trump won Texas by just 5 percentage points, a narrower margin than expected for such a reliably red state. Many political analysts speculated that demographic changes could potentially push Texas into a battleground status, making it more competitive for Democrats. But in 2024, Trump is expected to reverse that trend. He's projected to win in Texas by a much wider margin, possibly by double digits, outperforming his 2016 victory margin of 9 points. No Democrat has carried Texas since Jimmy Carter in 1976, and it's clear that trend will continue in this election. Texas is firmly in Trump's column, and the state remains a key piece of the Republican strategy. Now let's shift over to Florida, another Sun Belt state with a slightly different story. Florida has long been a quintessential swing state, flipping between Republicans and Democrats in past elections. The last time it voted blue was in 2012, when Barack Obama won the state by a narrow margin. But since then, Florida has seen a significant shift to the right. Trump won the state by just 1 in 2016 and expanded his margin to over 3 in 20. This time around, Trump is expected to win Florida by an even larger margin, somewhere in the range of 7 to 10 percentage points. Florida has cemented itself as a more Republican-leaning state, a shift that was solidified in the 2022 gubernatorial race when Ron DeSantis won re-election by a whopping 19 points. While the 2024 presidential race will likely be closer than DeSantis's landslide, Trump's hold on Florida is strong. It's hard to see any path for Kamala Harris to flip the Sunshine State back to the Democratic column, and Florida's 30 electoral votes are all but guaranteed to go to Trump. But before we get into the details, hit the subscribe button, like this video, and leave your thoughts in the comments. Thank you for your support. With Texas and Florida essentially locked up for Trump, we're left with 13 key battleground states that will decide the ultimate outcome of the election. These states are spread across different regions, with 4 in the upper Midwest, 7 in the Sun Belt, and 2 in the Northeast. Additionally, there's Nebraska's 2nd Congressional District, which awards a single electoral vote. While it may not be a game changer on its own, every electoral vote counts, so this district could still play a role in the overall picture. However, even if Harris wins this district, it's unlikely to make much of a difference given Trump's commanding lead in other key states. Now, let's turn our attention to Kamala Harris's potential path to victory, which is becoming narrower by the day. There are a few states that are still leaning in her favor, but even these are more competitive than they were in previous elections. Let's start with Colorado and New Mexico, 2 states that have trended Democratic in recent years. Joe Biden won both states by double-digit margins in 2020, but Harris is projected to win them by much smaller margins in 2024, probably somewhere between 3 and 7 points. The fact that these traditionally blue states have become more competitive is a sign of how much ground the Democrats have lost in this election cycle. Harris may still win Colorado and New Mexico, but it won't be by the comfortable margins Democrats have enjoyed in the past. Same pattern can be seen in other reliably blue states. For instance, Biden won New York by 23 points in 2020, but Harris is projected to win it by a much slimmer margin of around 13 points this time. Even in Maine, a state that typically leans Democratic, we're seeing signs of increased competition. In 2016, Hillary Clinton barely won Maine by 2.9 points, and Harris is likely to win it by a similarly narrow margin in 2024. This tightening of the race in traditionally blue states is part of a broader national trend, with Trump's strong performance across the board putting pressure on Harris in states that Democrats once considered safe. Adding up the solid, likely, and lean Democratic states, Harris is projected to secure only 198 electoral votes, far short of the 270 needed to win the presidency. Meanwhile, Trump is already at 219 electoral votes, and that's without even counting the states where he has a narrow but consistent lead. As we move into the analysis of the lean Trump states, it becomes clear that Harris is facing a steep uphill battle to make up the deficit. Let's now examine the states that are leaning toward Trump. These are the battleground states where Trump is expected to win by a margin of 2 points or more. Many of these states were once considered highly competitive, but Trump's strong performance has shifted the political landscape. Instead of tight races in the traditional battlegrounds, we're now seeing close contests in states like Minnesota and Virginia, states that Biden won comfortably in 2020. In North Carolina, Trump holds a narrow lead of 0.5 in the polls. North Carolina has been a swing state in the last few elections, but it's becoming more reliably Republican. Trump won the state by 3.7 in 2016 and by 1.3 in 20. In 2024, he's expected to expand his margin, likely winning by around 4 to 5 points. North Carolina is a crucial part of Trump's path to victory, and his consistent performance there makes it a key state for the go appeal. Next up is Georgia, where Trump is also leading in the polls by 1.8. Georgia was one of the most closely watched states in the 2020 election, as Joe Biden became the first Democratic candidate to win the state since Bill Clinton in 1992. Biden's victory was razor thin, with a margin of just 0.24. But in 2024, Trump is on track to flip the state back to the Republican side. He's projected to win Georgia by 3 to 4 points, marking a significant shift from the last election. Trump's performance in Georgia is a testament to his ability to regain ground in a state that many thought had turned blue. Arizona, another state that Biden won in 2020, is also leaning toward Trump this time around. Trump currently holds a 1.6 lead in the polls. And historically, polling in Arizona tends to overestimate Democratic support. In 2016, Trump won Arizona by 3.5 points, and he's expected to win it again in 2024 by a similar margin of 3 to 4 points. Arizona's shift back to the GOP further solidifies Trump's path to victory in the Sun Belt. Nevada, a state that has trended Democratic in recent years, is also moving toward Trump in 2024. Trump leads by 0.8 in Nevada, and the state is expected to lean Republican in this election. Nevada was once a reliably red state, voting for George W. Bush in both 2000 and 2004, but it has shifted toward the Democrats in recent cycles. However, Trump is on track to win Nevada by 2 to 3 points, becoming the first Republican to carry the state in 2 decades. Now let's move to the Midwest, where Trump is projected to sweep the key Rust Belt states of Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin. Harris desperately needs to win all 3 of these states to block Trump from reaching 270 electoral votes, but the polling data suggests that this is highly unlikely. In Pennsylvania, Trump holds a 0.7 lead, and he has repeatedly stated that winning Pennsylvania is crucial to his overall strategy. Trump won Pennsylvania in 2016, but lost it narrowly in 2020. This year, he's projected to win it by around 3 points, giving him a major boost in the race for the White House. In Michigan and Wisconsin, Trump is also leading in the polls. He holds a 1.2 lead in Michigan, which was one of the more liberal swing states in 2020, and his 0.2 lead in Wisconsin. Both states are expected to go for Trump by narrow margins, likely around 2 points each. The fact that Trump is poised to win all 3 Rust Belt states again underscores how much momentum he has going into the final days of the election. With Trump likely to win the Rust Belt, Harris's chances of victory become extremely slim. We're now down to just 3 states and 1 congressional district. Harris is expected to narrowly win Nebraska's 2nd district and New Hampshire, but the final 2 states, Minnesota and Virginia, are highly competitive. Trump has a real chance of winning both of these states, which would have been unthinkable just a few years ago. If Trump wins both Minnesota and Virginia, he will easily surpass the 270 electoral votes needed to win the presidency. As of now, Trump is projected to win 335 electoral votes compared to Harris's 203. This would represent a stunning reversal from 2020 when Biden won 306 electoral votes. If Trump also manages to win the popular vote, it will mark a major shift in American politics and signal the Republican Party's resurgence in key areas of the country. Thanks for sticking with me through this detailed breakdown of the 2024 election. If you found this analysis helpful, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll be keeping you updated on all the latest election news as we get closer to the final results. So stay tuned for more in-depth political coverage.